Hello, do you manage inventory? Do you have challenges with getting the right quantity of the right item at the right place at the right time? If you have challenges with any of that in your enterprise, I'd like to share with you a Excel workbook that I've developed that could provide value to you and your organization for managing some of the uh, challenges that we all face with have optimizing our inventory with getting that right quantity at the right time. um, you may be familiar with some of the calculations that are out there for calculating your max stock level, your reorder point, your reorder quantity, and safety stock. These are quantities that we can use to calculate based on our usage, what is the max level of inventory we should carry, what is the reorder point, so that when we reorder, our order delivers to us within the lead time so that we get back up to our max stock and then we are not dipping into our safety stock. This is serving a number of constraints in that we are minimizing or really optimizing our inventory carrying costs. We're carrying no more than we need to while we are mitigating or avoiding the risk of stocking out. And these formulas here that you can see on the right side, if you're anything like me and you manage inventory, you may have looked some of these up before. They're pretty straightforward to understand how we would calculate these parameters for our max stock level, our reorder point, our reorder quantity, and our safety stock. I have the formulas here right in gray. This is a workbook I've developed that will automate these calculations for you. It will automate them or calculate these parameters for you based off of your usage. That's how we get these formulas. It's comprised of our variables such as your minimum daily usage, your average daily usage, and your max daily usage. These variables are plugged into the formula to get these parameters here. And then we use other variables such as our lead time, which will vary for item to item. Um, so yeah, if any of that resonates with you in your enterprise, this is a spreadsheet or workbook really that could instantly provide value to you by understanding a number of things. One, what are these reordering and replenishment parameters, your max stock quantity, your reorder point, reorder quantity, and safety stock. It also gives you insight into what your reordering schedule and inventory consumption model looks like. We get this graph of it here. And this graph is making an assumption, of course, showing our consumption at this constant rate. We can see the inventory starting here at 0, and then it is going into the negative here. That's of course just theoretical. You can't actually have negative inventory. I wanted to change that in my graph here, but I thought it actually would be kind of striking to see your inventory go negative, because it helps an end user who's using this workbook have a more sort of dire or drastic sense of urgency with their inventory. So here we have a 0 inventory. We need to order this right now. That's what this column is showing us here, that today we need to place the inventory, the replenishment order. We order up to our max stock quantity, and then it is being depleted down as we consume it. And this is what I was getting at. It we can see it's making the assumption that you consume this on this constant rate. That's often not the case in many organizations. Your consumption looks more kind of like a stair step sloping down instead of like using the same exact rate every day. But this is a pretty good simulation, which gives us a good sense of when we would want to reorder next. This also has some other functionality in it, that it is taking your items standard pack quantity. We see that here in this field here. Well, let me demonstrate really quickly how this will work. I'm going to take an item number, and you may use a different terminology in your organization. You may refer to the item number as SKU number or material or widgets, something like that. I use Oracle in my organization, and Oracle refers to these as item numbers. I think SAP refers to them as material numbers here. Anyway, I can take an item number here, I can paste it into this field. We'll then automatically see the max stock quantity is calculated. It's different for this item here. This is a cable, this particular item. And then we're seeing the reorder point, the reorder quantity, and the safety stock. And I was getting at before, it has this field here for the standard pack quantity. This is going to be true for probably the vast majority of items that you will order. If you're ordering something, your supplier is going to say, well, I can't have you buy this in increments of 17. You need to buy at least 1,000. So this has a field here where you can reference the item standard packing quantity. This will then round this to that quantity. It's rounding your max stock level, your reorder point, and your reorder quantity into the nearest standard pack quantity. So that's all built in and automated to do once you punch in the item number. I've also built this here or developed this here to look at the item's consumption level and then the other parameters for a number of different locations. If you're like me and you're working with inventory, you're doing it at, like, say, several different storerooms or warehouses or different locations where you have inventory. And because of that, the rate of consumption will be different at each location. This here I refer to as business unit or BU number, and then the code for that location. That's how Oracle works. They use the term BU. SAP uses the term plant for location. You might just refer to it as warehouse number. If that doesn't apply to you and you just have one warehouse, that's fine. This field can just be constant. It doesn't need to be changed, but this next field here is then concatenating the item number and BU so that you get a unique two-dimensional value for the location's item number that then gives us, this particular set of parameters and the rate of consumption. The next field then returns the item's description, the unit of measure, which is in terms of eaches. This is the supplier, if you have one there. This is also another field here that may or may not apply to you. This is an expendable item, or excuse me, it is not an expendable item. Perhaps synonymous with the term consumable items that perhaps have like a high rate of throughput but are low value or low dollar, to the point where it doesn't provide value to your organization to be spending the time counting the items and inventorying them and cycle counting them and having a precise inventory, because they're just so inexpensive that it doesn't really add value. So this item is not expendable. It is a more critical item here. Anyway, that may apply to you, may not. And then the standard packaging quantity, or ordering increment quantity, the item price. This will then show you what your average inventory carrying cost is. So this is not the price at the max or the lowest or the reorder point. It is the average of the max and the stock. So if we have this kind of these parameters here, we then see on average what we are holding in terms of inventory carrying cost. So yeah, this is that's an overview of how this workbook works. This is a workbook that is available for sale on my Etsy shop. I'll provide the link in the description below, you can navigate to that link and then purchase this workbook. It's pretty inexpensive. It's only $4.99. That's really a next to nothing cost for this sort of automation that can provide a lot of value and utility for your organization. And if necessary, we could do some sort of customization to make this more appropriate for you. Let me do a little more demonstrating how this works here. Let me grab another item number, or again, material number, SKU number. I'm going to punch it into the item field. We see the parameters automatically adjust based on this item's average monthly usage, the average daily usage. The lead time is another one of those variables. It's then calculating the reorder quantity. It's detailing the max daily usage, the minimum daily usage, which happens to be 0 for this item at this location. And then, yeah, showing the max daily usage times lead time, or the average daily usage times lead time. This is average lead time. I need to correct that. It should just be lead time. It's not average. And then, yeah, we could do that for, and then here we get this insight into, when we need to be placing order. Here we can see our inventory right now is at 0. So again, it's showing at our rate of consumption, we'd be negative. That's not real, of course. This is only this is going to remain at 0. And then once the order is placed today, it will then arrive within lead time of 63 days, getting us up to our rounded to the nearest standard pack quantity max quantity level. And then we would see that the next day to order would be another 63 days from now, in April, late April, and then actually shows us another whole series of when we'd be ordering these. So that's kind of a general outline of when you'd be ordering these. It's also showing us the remaining days of inventory we would have until hitting safety stock, and then the remaining days of inventory until stocking out, which is 0 in this case because we're already at 0. Let's do another item here to demonstrate how this works. I'll grab another item number, punch it in. We can see again the parameters adjust, and everything else is changing as well. The average inventory carrying cost for this item is $534. A couple more items to demonstrate how the tool is working. This is another wire, and then one more item to see how that looks. Here's an item with a lot of thrash here. It's got a low lead time of just 5 days. So we can see as soon as we're reaching our reorder points with our inventory, we are then reordering again. This is just an overview of how this tool works. In another video, will go into more detail about how to integrate your own organization's data into these tabs here, so that this can work for your own information and your own item numbers or material numbers within your own warehouses. The tool allows it to be allows a pretty seamless integration for a different end user. It's just a matter of copying and pasting in information into some of these tabs here, and it's a pretty low, a light lift. It's not too much work that goes into that. And then once that's done, it's simply a matter of refreshing what your on-hand inventory is to keep this inventory field on day 1 accurate going forward. And then you could do that as frequently as you want, like a daily basis or perhaps weekly basis, to help understand what your reordering cycle looks like and all of that. One more demonstration here of how this can work with a number of different locations. I'm here in the business unit field or location field. These all can be customized too, to put in whatever sort of terminology is most appropriate for you. So let me update this location from D70 to D20 here. You can see here, it's the same item number, but at a different location, we have a different rate of consumption and therefore different replenishment parameters with a different max stock quantity, a different reorder point, reorder quantity, and safety stock. You'll notice the lead time, however, does not change because regardless of where you're sending it to your supplier, well, I guess that's not entirely true. Generally speaking, the lead time is not going to change if you're having this being delivered to one supplier or the other, or excuse me, one warehouse location or storeroom or another. Generally speaking, that's true. If that's not true for you and your enterprise, we could do some sort of customization to make that work, the appropriate lead time per location. Let me demonstrate that again here, just a couple of other locations. We can see the same sort of effect taking place here. And then one more time for a different organization. So that's an overview of how this tool works, what the tool is, what sort of value and utility you can get with this tool of automating your reordering and replenishment parameters, and being able to get the insight you would need into when you need to order next. Let me quickly say this is not a materials requirements planning platform. This is not a system that is detailing the inventory you have on hand and then giving you a detailed picture of when your next orders are delivering and then where your inventory will be after you have sales orders or reservations to your inventory. This is not that. This is not a materials requirements planning platform. It's a little more simple, and it provides value that you wouldn't necessarily get in your materials requirements planning system. Let me share a quick anecdote about how I came up with this. I did work for an enterprise where I was using a materials requirements planning platform. I was using SAP to use the MRP system to release system generated requisitions. That's how MRP will work. It will recognize that if you have, say, X inventory and you're then getting sales orders or some sort of reservation or debit to your inventory, reducing your inventory down, you then need to replenish it, and the system will then generate a requisition or a purchase order or what have you, and then you're sending that over to the supplier and replenishing it. And I found when I was doing that, I often would have sort of challenges with the finessing the max quantity, the reorder quantity, and the safety stock quantity. There'd be times when I would be using more inventory or consuming more than the max stock quantity was really serving well. So I would have to, for a time, increase the max stock quantity, or for a time I'd increase the reorder point or the safety stock, or I would decrease it, or I would do that exercise if the lead time was changing and I suddenly needed to carry more inventory. So having a tool like this allowed me to see what the impacts would be, especially to inventory carrying cost, and then what my reorder replenishment cycles look like if I make those changes. So again, just to bring the point home, this is not a materials requirements planning platform. It will not do those sorts of functions for you, but for the cost of almost nothing, $4.99, it could provide you with valuable insight about what your inventory consumption will look like. You get this nice visualization to it, and then you also get the other insight of the average carrying cost, and then when your next order would be. So yeah, again, this is available for sale on my Etsy shop. I will put the link to that site where you can purchase this there in the description of this video. When you make the purchase of the file, you will get this exact file, which will contain all of the data that's already in here, like dummy data that you could use for reference to see how the workbook will work. And then you will also get your own actual copy of the workbook that you can populate yourself. And I will also make available a tutorial video on how you can enter in all of your enterprise's information and data into the tabs so that this will all work for you. So thanks for having a look at this, and I hope this could provide you some value in your enterprise.